Welcome to a new Team CGC 9.8 video. So today I wanted to show the team my newest CGC 9.8 purchase. And I talked about this one on undervalued video I did just in the last few videos here. But really excited to get this one in. Let's just have a look first off. We'll get into all the details. And I did break it down into 4 reasons why I ended up pulling the trigger on this one. But yeah, newest 9.8 add to the collection here. It's an Avengers 181 in the CGC 9.8. Yeah, this is the first appearance of Scott Lang with this awesome cover by George Perez and Terry Austin. So I am a big fan of just colorful covers with a lot of action and a lot of heroes on the cover. This is kind of the epitome of that type of cover, I think. You get it's a new Avengers lineup in this one, and I think it's like 3 or 4 people leave and a few people come back, but most of the main people, superheroes, stay on the Avengers in this one. But this one's a pretty cool 9.8. Interesting, this is my first Avengers CGC 9.8, which is definitely one of the reasons that we'll get into, one of those 4 reasons. Let's have a look on the census though in the 9.8. There's 182 CGC 9.8s out there. So, you know, for Scott Lang, cool collectible cover, a 1 of 182 is sounding pretty good to me, I think. And definitely such a great candidate for kind of my first Avengers CGC 9.8. What was it? 17.3% of all graded copies are CGC 9.8s. Yeah, that's the CGC 9.8 ratio. Not too bad. This is getting into the 70s here. Yeah, 1979 book. But a decent rarity, nothing to really, you know, nothing that's going to make it really expensive, which is why this is somewhat affordable for a 1979 CGC 9.8. So I want to talk about quickly the centering to this book, because I did mention on that undervalued video for this one, I purchased one with pretty nice centering. I did say in that video like it was perfect centering. It's not perfect centering, but we'll talk about some of the details here with this one, because it's one where George Perez and Terry Austin, they sign right near the UPC code right along the spine of the comic. So you see a lot of 9.8s of this one with the front cover curled around to the back, and then you don't really get the signatures along the spine. So for this one, you do see the full cover. So it's a really good centering in that way, and you get the full signatures here. It says Perez and Austin. And I really like that about this type of centering. But if you notice, like, it's really perfectly centered pretty much toward the bottom here, but then there's a little more of the back cover showing at the top. Also from top to bottom, this one's not perfectly centered. It could be shifted up a little bit with, like, it's almost some of the UPC boxes being almost cut off, like it's just making it into the cover. So not a perfectly centered one, but with the spine centering, how it's sort of important, and a bit of a pet peeve of mine, to be honest, that I just like to see the signatures of the artists on the cover, like the original ones. And for this type, they were doing this for a while where they would sign right near the UPC box for during this kind of, you know, late 70s, early 80s period. So yeah, really pumped to grab a super centered one. Let's get into some of the prices, because unfortunately, once again for this one, I got charged some tariffs. So we'll get up a graphic actually here. So I have to hold this up. But I was charged some tariffs at the door for this one. So let's just get into the whole price, and saw another one sell for a better deal as well, just to, you know, give a good idea of the full price range. But I paid $375 for mine, and I did know going into this wasn't like a rock bottom, super fair, awesome deal. This was one where I saw the nice centering. The colors too are actually looking better than they were on kind of the scan of the book, so really happy with how the colors look actually. But this one, a nice centered one, willing to pay a little bit more, $375. Interesting, one sold in an auction in the last month, a few weeks I think it was, for $266. That's a great price. Like, that's like rock bottom great price. That one wasn't perfectly centered, to be honest. It had the sort of front cover wrapping around to the back cover, which is my sort of pet peeve on this one. $266 nonetheless. I paid $375 plus $27.66 US dollars. I just did the conversion. It was $34.98 Canadian dollars. Tariffs at the door. So had to pay an extra $27.66. That brings it up to $402.66 for an Avengers 181, albeit pretty nicely centered, but you know, pretty much going down as an overpay. As I said, I really like this cover pretty much right from the first time I saw it, and then over time I've almost like lusted after it. So this is just one I'm gonna get a great pride of ownership from. Yeah, I paid probably $100 too much, but I think in general it's kind of undervalued right now. So yeah, that'll lead into some of the 4 reasons before I just mention all of them, which I've probably already done, but let's get into them really quick here. First reason why I ended up pulling the trigger on an Avengers 181 CGC 9.8. A great cover that I've grown to love. Yeah, it's one I really liked from the beginning. I do like a lot of heroes, a lot of colors. I love this era too, and this cover was just one to want for me. So second reason here is that nice centering I mentioned. Yeah, this one does have the tough spine centering that you don't see too much on this one. So that was great about it. Probably the main reason, to be honest, why I ended up pulling the trigger. Colors are surprising me in person too, better than on the scans, which was nice. A third reason here, undervalued. It's an undervalued key issue and first appearance. Yeah, this is the first appearance of Scott Lang, who becomes a second Ant-Man. You know, combine this great cover. It's a pretty collectible book. It's not super rare in the 9.8. Like sometimes books from this era and you know, will be single-digit CGC 9.8 ratios, which make them really expensive. One that comes to mind, Avengers 196. First full appearance of Taskmaster. That came out about maybe a year after this, but it's more rare in the 9.8 and more expensive. But this, I just think overall, an undervalued key issue and first appearance. And the last reason here, so this is my first Avengers CGC 9.8, which I thought was cool, and I've tried to buy, I was searching, really hunting for Avengers 196, first full Taskmaster for a while there. But this one, you know, a perfectly centered one, it's certainly not as much money as a first full Taskmaster Avengers 196 in the 9.8. So it kind of just made sense. I think it's a great one to be my first Avengers CGC 9.8. But maybe, yeah, I'm liking it. I do like the pride of ownership, love having this cover, great colors and everything. Maybe an Avengers 196 might be next for me, because I love that cover too, and it's even more rare in the 9.8, so I should probably try and get that one before it gets really expensive. Hopefully Taskmaster kind of cools down if, you know, he's not in any like Black Widow spin-offs, or hopefully not in any MCU movies coming up, which will probably jack up the price even more. Okay, but just a quick unbox today. Yeah, we got into the 4 reasons there. Another thing about it, you know, pretty well packaged. I bought it off of eBay in the United States, so I did get those tariffs. The case itself is nice. Yeah, no nicks on the case. Pretty much a clean. No, what do you call them? Newton rings either. Yeah, so just a really kind of, in that way, it was a really good order. So kind of got lucky in that way. Sometimes there's some surface scratches that can just come straight from CGC. You know, some of them are just scuffs that almost, it's not even almost the seller's fault most of the time. And I'm pretty sure this is a brand new graded one. It's got this sort of new CGC case where it moves sort of in the case a little bit. Whereas they used to have sort of the hold down things on the back cover, I think it was, but so probably a pretty newly graded one. So yeah, in a lot of ways it was a good order. You know, maybe I overpaid a tad, but I like the centering on this one, and unfortunately not the perfect order because got some tariffs. But I think Avengers 181, I did include it on that undervalued video for a reason. I think it's pretty undervalued. It's a decently rare 9.8, and yeah, you know, we're kind of in between like Ant-Man movies, and again, this is a book I mentioned on that other video that it was like all day close to 500. I think some even kind of sold for kind of 550-ish area, you know, when Paul Rudd was in the Avengers and they, you know, all those announcements started for Ant-Man when this one really heated up. But it's cooled down now. I got it with tariffs. It was $402.66 plus some shipping to Canada. So this one ended up being a little more expensive than I wanted it. But hopefully you can get it closer to that $266 auction price that ended in the last month. That's a steal, I think, at this price for a really cool book and a cool cover. Definitely a one-to-one if you're into the era of Avengers books or just into this era of comic books for sure. Okay. We'll leave it there. Just a quick unbox today. Thanks so much for watching. Definitely message me on Instagram if you do have any questions. And yeah, if you haven't already, to invite you to join the team and subscribe to Team CGC 9.8. Yeah, I'd love to have you on our comic book collecting and comic book investing team. Hit the bell for all the latest notifications. Add me on Instagram and Twitter too. All the links in the description below. But yeah, we'll leave it there. Super happy to have this cover that, again, I've really just lusted after it, and I'm a big fan of all the colorful covers with a lot of heroes on them usually. So thanks for watching today, as always, and I will see you on the next one.